My guest today on the podcast is Dave Harvey. Dave has a long life of ministry in various capacities. I want to talk to him about that and his ministry journey. But he's also been touched in ways that are significant and life-altering by the fallenness of our world. I have a deep appreciation myself for Romans 8, beginning with verse 18 particularly, when Paul talks about the universality of suffering and says, well, we suffer because we live in a world that's groaning, waiting for redemption. You groan when you're in pain. You groan when you're disappointed. You groan when you're overwhelmed. You groan when you feel unable. You groan when you're broken. It's such a picture of this world that's not functioning the way God intended. And the Bible doesn't tell us, because we're God's children, that we get a ticket out of that suffering. In fact, between the already of your conversion and the not yet of your homegoing, suffering will enter your door. And if you're not suffering now, you're near someone who is. And if you're not suffering now, you will someday. And all of our lives will at some point be a story of suffering and grace. And so I'm excited to talk about Dave for a variety of reasons, but the mix of those two things, I think, is very significant and very helpful, and I think as you listen, very hope-giving. I also want to be very sure that at some point we talk about Dave's new book, Stronger Together, Seven Partnership Virtues and the Vices That Subvert Them. A leadership book for the church.
Yes,
yeah.
A leadership book for leaders that are leading the church and wanting to plant churches.
Yeah. So we'll get there. Well, welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Can I bridge back over into the picture for a second?
Sure.
So because members of my team in Great Commission Collective knew of the affection that I had for you and some of the ways that you have had an impact on my life, they presented me with like an 8x12 version of that picture and had it framed. And so it sits on the bookshelf in my home. But they also gave me a 5x7. And I was waiting for the opportunity for us to be together to be able to give it to you. And because when you mention suffering, I think of moments in my life where I've gone through certain things and turned to you. And what a vital and gospel-filled, gospel hope-filled voice you've been.
Well, praise God.